Всем доброго времени суток, с вами Дружба, и сегодня я решил записать спонтанный Stanley Parable. Я думаю, начнем. Все остальное расскажу по поводу, по ходу загрузки. Данную игру я решил записать, так как она являлась одной из лучших игр 2013 года. Пока помолчу.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ну да, мы опять же можем понять, что мы играем за Стэнли, потому что мы сейчас встали из-за стола номер 427. Итак вот, о чем я рассказывал, почему я решил поиграть в игру, да.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ну, потому что, наверное, в свое время я ее не прошел. И это является для меня чем-то новым. Ну и отзывы к ней были довольно хорошими. Как мы видим, никого здесь нету. Приблизить никак нельзя, к сожалению. Но сделано все интересно. Windows какой-то. 98 что ли. Нельзя дверь открыть? Нельзя. Картина. Стоп. 422, там какие? 430, ладно. 424, 26, 20. Что у нас тут? Может, ремонт? Может, на ремонт закрыли здание? Мне кажется, так оно и есть. Потому что вон провода всякие. Ой, что это такое? Так.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Нет, я что, дурак, что ли?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Мы будем своенравны.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Ну да, комнатка неплохая. Сюда бы телевизор какой-нибудь большой такой. Двухметровый. И комната была бы очень даже.
Really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Так, а что у нас в этой двери? Непонятно что. Мы пройдем сюда.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
5 лет назад. Чертежи какие-то. Ну, с виду мы вообще попали на склад. Так, лестница. Ладно. Так, что это? Погрузчики какие-то. Здесь картинка вроде. Так. Не прыгайте с грузового лифта. В общем, это может привести к смерти. Повреждения. Нет. Ну, ладно, в общем, штрафы 5000 за прыжок с лифта и 1000 за раскачку, что ли.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Мы
I'm
можем
not your
спрыгнуть,
enemy,
да.
but in his eagerness to prove
Я
that he
гениален.
is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Примерно с таким же звуком сейчас у меня ладонь об лоб ударилась. Это каким дебилом нужно быть? Так, что-то поменялось? Нет?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так, ну здесь мы уже все пройдем. Ну, допустим, мы пойдем
When
налево.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Так, это... Ага, это эффект. 411. Это конференц-зал, да?
Yet there was not a single person here
Что у
either.
нас тут?
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's
Цели
office,
какие-то
hoping
ставили
he
перед
might
собой.
find an answer there.
Доллары. Конечно, с английским у меня все не так уж и хорошо. Времени было побольше, я перевел. Нет проблем. Так. Какая-то комната. О, ну кладовка.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Мне кажется, тут что-то можно подобрать.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet.
А может, мне
No
нравится.
reason to still be here.
Вообще дверь закрою. Я
It was
смотрю...
baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Ладно, дождем следующего коммента и пойдем. Ну?
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing?
Ладно,
Well,
еще один.
Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely
Ладно,
confused.
пойдем. Пойдем. Вверх или вниз?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Да, пойдемте в кабинет начальника. Нет, не сюда. Ох ты. Ох ты. Вот это кабинет. Ванная. Так, здесь у нас секретутка сидела. Секретарша. Но у нее почему-то ничего. Ух ты. Вот это потолки. Это ж как в этих.
Stepping into his
Stop.
manager's office, Stanley
Нет.
was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Ау.
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was
Неплохо
being
тут.
held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number.
2845.
2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons
Стэнли
on the
угадал.
keypad,
Уи.
Stanley happened to input the correct code by
Почему
sheer luck.
ставни опустились?
Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Где проход? О, вот это я слепой. Так, что у нас тут, манекены? Нет. Какая-то плита, пройти бы ее по-быстрому. Так, красная кнопка. Ой-ой-ой. Как-то все жутенько. Нет, я боюсь. Снова загрузка. Ну, в принципе, игра довольно неплоха. Кстати, это, скорее всего, будет просто спонтанное прохождение. Ну, не прохождение даже, а периодически будут выходить видео по этой игре. Вполне возможно, что и не будут. Смотря сколько сюжета мы познаем в этой части.
This question would not go unanswered for long.
Ну, красиво.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Разум. Блин, либо сюда, либо сюда. Пошли. Ладно. Напоминает мультфильм «Суперсемейка». Лампочка. Нажать.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Кнопка камер. Здесь что-то записывали. Чай пили. Или кофу.
Now the monitors jumped to life.
А какой у нас там 427, что ли?
Each bore the number of an employee in the building.
Вон наша комната.
The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Жесть. Ну, лифт.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true.
Типа лифт поднимается.
Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job?
Вот он.
That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Да не может этого быть.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
И что делать-то? Сюда? Нет. Тут можно что-нибудь нажать? Ну все это отключено. Не находится в оффлайн режиме. Ну, если верить тому, что я вижу. Что у нас здесь? Кнопка Cat. Чего за кнопка? 4. И чё? Там, наверное, есть кнопки, которые по порядку нужно нажать. Я вроде одну наблюдаю. 3, да? 5? 5? Не понял. Так. Ладно, ищем 0. Или 1. 3. Вижу. Вижу. Вот. 1. 2. Что же будет? Будет, наверное, Аллах Акбар. 3. 4. Ну, давай, быстрее, Стэнли. 4. И пошли 5-ю нажмем. Тихо, зацепился. Мне кажется почему-то, что время ограничено. Давай, 5-ю. И чё? И ничего не случилось. Ну вот. А здесь что?
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you?
Я включил.
After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted?
Власть!
Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
Ты говори.
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off?
Подумал.
I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room.
Вот
these
зеленые
numbered
кнопки.
buttons. No, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? One soul?
Я думаю, можно.
Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
2. 2.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler
Нужно
for you.
фиолетовую.
That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless.
Где зеленая кнопка, ё-моё?
This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's
Ah.
fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing.
Нету
No
зеленой.
ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me.
Я сдаюсь,
All a
все,
part of the
ладно,
journey.
ладно, ладно.
And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily
Всё.
ever
Нет, я уверен, что можно было что-то сделать и выжить, но... Ах, что-то пошло не так, к сожалению. И мы снова здесь, да? Комната вроде меняется или нет?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Да-да-да.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Мне кажется, со складом там довольно интересное продолжение могло быть. Сейчас буквально еще, наверное, 2 пути попробуем.
When Stanley came to a set
Да,
of two
знаю
open,
я.
this was
Не
not the
вошел.
correct way to the meeting room, and
Ты
Stanley knew it
злишься.
perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Вот я
Wow.
любуюсь комнатой
Yes,
отдыха.
this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Я не вошел в нее, ну, в следующий раз, наверное, в нее и войду.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Уехал на лифте.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
Не
I
маленький
realize that
склад.
investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting.
Мне кажется, вот сюда вот как вариант
Someone you've
спрыгнуть.
forgotten? What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have
Чё,
zero
серьезно? Можно?
consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you?
Что
What?
это?
I don't know how to convince you of this,
Опасно.
but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Нет.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red
Yeah.
door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked... All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen?
Сейчас
Well,
опять меня
don't let me
телепортирует.
stop you.
Что?
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Ну, пойдем пробуем.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version.
На
Would you
троечку.
say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've
Давай
knocked it
посмотрим.
out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Ага. Ну... Мы сюда, допустим.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors?
Ты мне
Again,
уже
honest
надоел.
answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect.
Пошли
Let me
пробуем.
boot it up.
Что это за игра?
In this game, the
Что?
baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire,
Нет.
it's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the artwork
Это не ребенок,
will
это
really
всего лишь
take notice.
картинка.
But of course, the message of the game
Очень
only
большого
becomes
ребенка.
clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Ой, все, нет ребенка.
Bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because
Назло
if it's the
тебе,
latter, well, I
чувак.
don't know what to do. I'm
Да-да-да.
completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing.
Все,
Your
верни
input
меня
was
обратно,
extremely
верни.
valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here?
Ну-ка давай.
Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Что это? Сейчас запусть какую-нибудь левую игру, которая у меня на компьютере. Вот я буду счастлив. О!
Well, Stanley, is this any better?
Майнкрафт.
At last, the one thing you've always
Как
desired.
прыгать-то
Game
нельзя.
I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough? Tell me that, Stanley. Will it ever be enough?
Майнкрафт.
Well, I'll say this. I'm done making things for you. From now on, I will only create to fulfill a greater artistic purpose. Watch this, Stanley. I'm going to build a house. This will go here. No, here. And
Жесть.
let's see, what does it need? Yes, of course. And just to finish it all
О,
off,
ну это дом.
yes, it's complete. I made this, Stanley. Look at it. Gaze upon my work of art and feel ashamed at your own inadequacy. Ah, but you've only seen it from the outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step inside and make yourself comfortable.
Ой, нет. Я не пойду. Я буду ждать твоих комментариев. Я считаю до 5. Не могу до 10. Раз, два, три, четыре, 5. Я иду искать. Ладно. Ля-ля-ля. Пора зайти внутрь.
Isn't it grand? Isn't it perfect? It could only be better if... Wait, that's it. We must rebuild it out of diamond. Diamond
Да
everything.
ладно.
Yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to go mining.
Пошли за алмазами. Где? Да ладно.
Oh my, it looks like it's going to get a bit dark. Have you brought a light?
Конечно, факелы. Вот. Ну. Ну и где? Грибы какие-то. Опять что ли?
Oh, no. This is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for something more narrow
Тихо.
and linear. Something that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all. 1 out of 5.
Надо бежать.
Even the diamonds couldn't save this one.
Слишком темно.
Okay, new game.
Давай, грузи меня быстрее. Я слышал зомби. И этих пауков. Чё за игра? Куда же ты меня на этот раз загрузишь? Портал?
Yes.
Да ладно, Портал? Да ладно.
Trapped in a glass box with no way out, listening to me talk. Oh, it's
Это
inspiring.
самая
I
лучшая
couldn't
игра
have
в
done it any
мире.
better myself. What is this game even supposed to be? I can't figure it out. Okay, now I'm curious. Let's go find out what the hell this is.
Я, наверное, подлю несколько серий, поэтому всем спасибо за просмотр. С вами был Дружба. Подписывайтесь, ставьте лайки. Пока-пока-пока. Следующая серия выйдет очень-очень скоро.